moving on to listening, and we're going to start this section with a question for you, okay? So my colleagues will be launching the poll very quickly, but I'm just going to tell you that it's about the aspect, the listening aspect that you find more challenging. Okay, so when you are listening to something in English, when you're doing a listening exam as well, what is the main the aspect that you find more difficult? Is it the pronunciation? Is it maybe keeping attention, paying attention for a long time, knowing what to pay attention to as well? Is it the language? Is it the vocabulary? Is it the grammar? Maybe the topics being discussed? Andrea is asking whether we recommend doing the reading part before the use of English part. Andrea, I think it is something very personal. It's a decision that you have to make based on, I feel, on your preference as well and your experience. The way the exam is designed, the parts become increasingly more complex. Okay, so we start with the parts that maybe we feel that are less complex, and we increase the complexity so you can progressively get into the most challenging parts. But so in that sense, I may make sense to follow the order of the exam, but I also know that some people prefer to do the parts they feel more comfortable with, so they get them out of the way and they feel more optimistic for the other parts, or they prefer to start with the most difficult parts while they are fresh and leave the easiest parts for the end. So I think it really depends on you. I would recommend that when you do the mock exams, you try out different techniques, different strategies, and you go with the one that you feel most comfortable with. Right, so attention was the most the one that you found was the most challenging, followed by pronunciation, and then language and topics came third with the same percentage. Okay, so and I think this is in line with what you are saying in the chat. Okay, different accents, we will be talking about that. So this is very useful for us. Thank you so much. Okay, and we will talk about these aspects for sure in the next few slides. Okay, so let's think about types of listening. Okay, as we have with reading, there are different listening sub-skills. We are listening for the main points. We are listening to follow an argument. We are listening for detail. We want to understand opinion. We want to infer meaning. So there are different abilities, different aspects of a listening that we need to pay attention to. So in the listening, there are 4 parts, different task types with different test objectives. Okay, so you can see that there is a wide range of testing objectives in line with what is expected at C1 level. If you want to find out more, please check this QR code. The duration of this paper is 40 minutes, and this includes 5 minutes to transfer your answers. Okay, so here it is included within the 40 minutes. And you also had a lot of questions about the listening paper, and I wanted to mention these about the top tips and also the main challenges, the main problems that you find, or that we think you may find in the listening section. This is what I will try to answer in the next few slides. So part 1, the multiple choice. How should we approach this part of the exam? Read through the questions before you listen, so you know, kind of start thinking about what you are going to listen to, and then listen to the whole extract carefully before answering. Also bear in mind that the 2 questions in the extract may not be in sequence. So maybe you will find the answer to question 2 to the second question in the extract before the answer to the first question. Try not to just guide yourself by just because I've heard the words, the exact word, I'm going to choose this option, because remember, paraphrasing is very important, and recognizing paraphrasing as well. And then bear in mind aspects such as the speaker's purpose, the attitudes and the opinions, the gist of an argument, and then also agreement and disagreement. This is a lot, right? What do we mean? Let's look at an example. Okay, so here I'm going to give you a few seconds to read the script and to look at the options. I have already circled the main parts of the options here. Okay, so option A, demanding academic year, new working environment, and future job prospects. And the correct option is B. Okay, well done. Because it hasn't been a demanding academic year, it has been a fairly stress-free year. He doesn't want to enhance his future prospects now, job prospects now, because he feels that he can do that later. But he really wants to experience a new working environment. Okay, so a complete change of seeing, getting a fresh perspective by being part of a different team and seeing how they operate. Okay, so B is the correct option. So you can see that all 3 options are mentioned, so you need to be careful when choosing the correct option. Part 2. How should we approach it? Read the task to try to predict or be ready for what you are going to listen. In this part of the exam, we are not asking you to paraphrase, so write what you hear. Don't repeat information that is already on the page. Okay, look at what comes before and after the gap and make sure you're not repeating information. And make sure that what you write is correct considering the rest of the sentence. Okay, grammatically correct. You're not repeating information, as I say. Aspects to bear in mind for part 2. Remember that what is written on the text is not what you are going to hear. Okay, so the text is not exactly what you will hear, but you need to write exactly what you hear. You need to track text and audio. Okay, I think this was mentioned in the chat as one of the challenges. This is challenging. I'm not going to say that it isn't, but it's a matter of practice and trying to make the most of the time that you have before the recording starts. Remember that most questions will focus on concrete pieces of information, for example, nouns, and that you are usually looking for single words or very short noun word groups. Again, this is a lot. What do we mean? Okay, so in the time that you've got before the recording starts, read the instructions, read the text to get a general idea of what it will be about. This will help you be more alert, maybe. So when you hear words, you identify them. Because there is a question coming, like, even if it's a word that I know, I find it difficult to understand it in the listening. Well, maybe because you are not expecting it, but if you read the text and you get into the topic, then it will be easier for you to identify the words that you hear. So here we've got special interest. Which in the issue of that led him to choose his degree subject. Special interest, his degree subject. I've always wondered, in particular, and that was really the key factor in influencing my choice of degree subject. So the correct option is climate change here. Then a change that is marking us that we are ready to move on to the next gap. I will be reluctant to work after graduation, find a job. The last of those seems less appealing because I'm very committed to nature conservation due to his interest in conservation. So oil here is the correct answer. So as you can see in the text, the words are not exactly what you will hear, but what you write is exactly what you hear. So you really need to be ready to recognize paraphrasing, but you are not asked to paraphrase. And then part 4, key aspects to bear in mind in this part of the exam. 5 different speakers. There is a thematic link. In this case, people are talking about changing their jobs. There are 2 parallel multiple matching tasks. In task 1, the focus is the reason for changing jobs. And in task 2, the focus is on the feelings about their new job. And the correct option should be chosen from a list of 8. Okay, so how to approach the task? Well, some people prefer to, in the first time they listen, focus on task 1, and then in the second time, focus on task 2. Other people prefer to read the different options and then try to do both at the same time, and then have the option of listening again in case there are answers that they didn't pick. So really, again, it comes down to your personal preference and the approach that you find works best for you. So summing up, I think I've given you more than 5 tips for the listening test, but in any case, I wanted to summarize them here. Make good use, take advantage of the silent times. I remember when I was a teacher and I saw my students staring at the ceiling while they were waiting for the recording to start, and it was like, no, you're wasting your time. Please use that time to look at the options, look at the questions, look at the text, try to predict the content of the recording, try to imagine what the text will be about, to spot keywords, to check that you are ready for the next question. Then also make the best use of the second listening. Make sure that the answers that you given are right. Try to make sure you haven't forgotten any answers, and listen for different questions. Okay, so also be alert and make sure that you don't leave anything behind. If there are problems, try to identify cues, try to identify hints that are going to guide you in the right direction. Breathe, okay, and if you really see that you can find the answer, make sure you write something and then move on. Okay, don't try to spend too long there, because otherwise you may run out of time. And then, as I said, the key is to process meaning and not just words. Okay, we want to test your ability to recognize paraphrasing, to use paraphrasing in different in other papers as well. So make sure you are ready to understand synonyms and to identify different ways of expressing the same idea. And the fifth tip would be find out what works for you. Okay, do that before exam day. And don't try out new things on the day of the exam. Just make sure you know your strategy, that you know yourself well as a learner and as a candidate, as a test taker, and make sure you know the what strategy you feel most comfortable with. Resources to develop listening skills. I saw a question about how to prepare for the exam bit by bit and little by little. Well, I think this is a good strategy. Okay, try to do a bit or study a bit, work a bit as regularly as possible. Maybe 10 minutes listening to the news, reading the newspaper, will make more of a difference that maybe like spending 5 hours studying vocabulary and then spending like a week without doing anything. So try to be as constant as possible, and make sure you are, especially with listening and reading, devoting some time on a regular basis. And at C1, there are so many resources that you can use. You can use learning material. You can also use authentic material to make sure you are familiar also with different accents. And accents is a big concern for you. That was obvious in the poll and in your questions. So try to, as I said before, read the instructions, read the options, so you can try to activate your knowledge about the topic, and you can predict the words that you will hear, and then make sure you are familiar with different types of accents, okay, which are part of English. Okay, English is spoken by a very wide range of people, native and non-native. In the exams, we will have native speakers, but with different accents, and it's important that you have had the opportunity to become familiar with them. So reference to accent only comes at C1 of the Common European Framework. If you want to check the Common European Framework, you've got the link here. So there will be, yes, accents that are maybe a bit less familiar. In that case, don't worry, you're going to listen twice, okay, in case you need to confirm some details. So you will be encountering different accents in the C1 advanced exam. The key is previous practice, and also the fact that you know that you have the opportunity to listen twice. So I'm about to finish. I'm conscious of time. And we're just going to go through a few resources. Test and Train, our teaching and learning platform. If you want exam practice, please check it out. Also, if you want to practice language and you want to make sure that you are practicing it at the right level, check our in-use products, grammar in use, vocabulary in use, which includes theory and guided practice. So you feel comfortable with the new vocabulary and the new language, the new grammar that you are learning before maybe trying to incorporate it to your speaking and your writing practice. If you want to continue getting ideas about how to develop your listening skills and your reading skills, check out these guides for listening and for reading, which are free and are available on our website. Then also, please visit this section of our website, C1 Advanced Preparation. You've got exam essentials, teacher essentials, and learner essentials with all the information that you will need, as well as resources like sample papers, checklists for writing, lesson plans. So really a wealth of resources available for you for free. If you've got special requirements, please also visit our website. We've got specific section where you can find what we can offer, but also please let your exam center know so they can advise on the best options for you. Okay, this is general information of what is available, but it's very important that you let your exam center know so they can be ready to give you the best adaptation possible. Then another question that you asked me was about the time that you need to prepare for the exam. I have gathered here some references to different authors and also to the research I carried out. And as you can see, there is a wide range of time here because it really depends. It depends on your context. It depends on your level, your previous level, the level that you want to achieve, how long you can devote to the learning process outside the class if you are attending a course. So really, there is a lot to take into account, but hopefully this will give you an idea. The writing has to be written with pen. Yes, yes, indeed, Immaculada. Questions about exam day, how to complete the exam, how much time do you get for the exam, can you go to the toilet, can you drink water? Questions that we all have and that we all want to get answered. Please check out the information for candidates booklets. I'm going to share the link in a minute. But here you can find all the information, okay? Hence for the writing paper, the C1 Advanced writing paper, pencil for the rest of the papers, except for speaking, of course. You can have a clear plastic bottle of water with you. You can go to the toilet during the breaks. During the papers, if it's a must, except for the listening has to be an emergency. But please remember that the time that you take going to a toilet is time that you are losing, okay? That you will not be able to use for the exam. The information is included here in the booklet for candidates. This is the QR code